Yeah, yeah. Are we ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit, hold on. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Brown and Spiritual AF. Episode number, I think is this 28, I believe. I kind of lost track. But today here we are, me and Missy Sella again, having another conversation around spirituality and why people think it's really expensive to invest in your healing journey. You know what I mean? A lot of people get this a little mixed up. They be say things like, healing journey is too expensive. I don't got the money for this while they're sipping a $7 motherfucking latte from Starbucks, the third of the day.
Yeah. I think the other part to this too, that I'd like to explore is that I watch other people who provide, whether it be spiritual teaching or healing, or there's a whole gamut of services when we're looking at the spiritual space, right? And I will see people make comments like, "This should be free. Why are
Ooh,
you charging for this?" When
yes.
you are, like if you are bringing in messages for healing and spiritual growth and development, how dare you charge for that? Okay. And I think that a lot of people in the spiritual space really feel not, I don't, I think I have come across many people in the spiritual space who feel guilty for charging for their services or charging what they believe that they're like the value of their worth. And so they undercharge
Oh shit.
because,
I'm guilty.
yeah, they feel bad for what they're charging. And I know I went through this in my other work in education, because I'm a consultant in education. And yeah, there's this part of us that feels like maybe we're undeserving, or that what if they won't, what if they think it's not worth it? So if I put a dollar amount on this, what if they're like, "Are you kidding? Why are you charging that? Like, you're not worth that much money." It's a very scary space to be. So I'd like to explore that as well. What are your thoughts about that, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. I totally get and I understand where you're coming from on this area because I think I struggled with that in the beginning. I didn't realize I was giving away my services for free. Like I didn't even know that I could charge, right? I could be compensated for how I was helping people, you know?
Mhm.
And it was a friend of mine, Heather, actually, you know what I mean? I did a couple of things for her and she paid me for it. And I was like, what the fuck is this for? She was like, Mark, you're providing a service and this is what your value is. And I didn't believe I deserved that because to me, this is just something that I already had in me and it was came easily. So why would I charge for this? Right. And I think I've heard things of your nature too, where people would say, if you're supposed to be helping me, why are you charging me? If you're so
Yeah.
spiritual or whatever the realm is, like for the same reason you go to fucking church, bitch, and you fucking give a donation to the fucking church. It's the same kind of thing in a sense, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I get it. And also on the flip side, I never truly understood why somebody could charge so much for something until I
Mm,
actually invested in it. And then I seen what the result was. And I was like, holy shit balls of Batman. The value I
yeah.
got out of that experience, I would have paid 10 times more. But still, I felt like I couldn't charge anybody anything because, you know what I mean? I wasn't at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of want to unpack that a bit. But before we move on, Mark, your camera's a little oh, I think it's clearing up, blurry. And I want to make sure that we're getting good. Do you see your camera? Are you good? Oh, wait, it's starting to clear up.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that we're getting good video to
Oh, yeah.
use. Okay.
Yeah, because yeah.
So, one of the lessons that I learned in my work, in my other work, I had a $5 million grant.
Whew.
And part of this grant was to provide professional development. So I used to rent large venues, or I mean, good sized venues. So like the ballroom in itself with like 6 or 7 breakout rooms was about $20,000 to $25,000 every time we did an event. And because I had this grant, I often or I felt like I needed to like not charge, that it was a free it was a free experience for people to come. And I learned, I think the first go around, I didn't charge, or I charged very little for it. And like people were walking out, they came and they had the keynote speaker, and then after that we had breakout rooms, and everybody was walking out with bags of shit because I had money for this grant to be able to provide materials, right? So people were walking out with bags of stuff.
You get a bag.
Yeah, it was basically like that. And I found that what was happening was that people were registering, but they didn't find the value that I was putting a value so low that sometimes they didn't show up, or they showed up sort of half-ass. They were in out and out. They weren't really connected or invested in the experience. And it was a lesson. Here I am trying to just give, right? To give and to provide and to offer, because I have this money that I can create an incredible experience, but people were not understanding the value of what was given to them. And it was a huge light bulb moment for me. So the next go round, because we used to do probably 4 big events per year, and this was over 5 years. And so the next go round, I charged more. And you know that the level of commitment to the experience was completely different than when I charged very little. And it really made me think about the value, like when we are investing in ourselves, what that does for the commitment we have to the investment. And that really kind of helped shape how I even see my spiritual work, because in my education work that I've done for many, many years, I started in terms of how much I charged at a very, I would say, reasonable rate. I looked at what other people were doing and kind of, went within that ballpark. And as I got better and better at what I was doing, I had to get comfortable with charging my worth. And that's the part that some people really struggle with.
Still to this day, even though like I've been getting better, and I go back to when I was doing things. Oh, let's go back to when somebody offered me something a while back. You know what I mean? Before I even got onto this journey, when somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to help you get into shape or whatnot," I was working with this personal trainer, and it was somebody that I just worked with, and he kind of just gave it to me. You know what I mean? In a sense. And he was like, "I'm just going to work out with you." So I didn't take it very seriously, like I was late at times and I didn't put the max effort. And he pulled me aside one time. I was like, "Hey, check this out. I know you really say you really want this and you're showing up part-time." He goes, "But my time is valuable and you're not taking it serious." And I was younger at that time. I didn't think anything of it. You know what I mean? And then he actually said, I'm going to charge you XYZ for X amount of services. It's nothing nowhere near what you typically would be paying. But let me tell you, because I was investing like $10 at the time for a training session, I was showing up. You know what I mean? Because even if I didn't show up, I had to pay. And for whatever reason, I took it more serious. And so now in my practice, when I tell people, because sometimes it's hard to tell somebody it's going to be $3,000 to work with me for fucking 12 weeks. They're like, but I'm really great now at providing the value they're going to get from it. I build the experience out so they know we're going to go from point A to point B by the end of this. If you follow the shit that I'm handing over to you, if you listen and actually implement these things, I could get you from point A to point B. Almost guaranteed if you do the work. And I'm confident in that now that I could say that. But let me tell you, I still I went from okay, $300. I'm going to work with somebody for 12 weeks, right? That's nothing. How much time you put into this. And then it went to 500 and then 1,000. Ooh. And now it's at 3K. And I'm like, ooh. And I'm like, okay, it's almost time to go up. And I still feel like I know what's possible, but I still struggle at times with that and getting people successful to finish, right? Because when I do shit for free for people at work, our friends and family, they don't take it seriously, and then they don't make any. They're like, this shit doesn't work. I'm like, well, let me charge you $50 for 30 minutes of my time, and I guarantee you it's gonna work now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there is a real difference in the investment part of things. I think, I think what's hard is that I think the very first time I really, really thought about this, I think I was charging, oh gosh, I don't even remember because it's been so long. But I remember somebody, and it was something I hadn't really even thought about. So I was talking about how much I charge and what we do and all the things that, I wanted to accomplish, blah, blah, blah. And I remember this person, a very good friend of mine. She says to me, wow, you really don't value yourself very much, do you?
Ooh.
And and it was really before I ventured down this path of, I mean, I was already down a healing journey, but really, really reflecting upon, what am I worth? What am I worthy of? And I think that gets people kind of caught up too, because if you don't believe that you're worth it, if you don't believe in the value of your worth, if you don't believe that you have something to contribute or that people are going to value what you contribute, putting a dollar on that is going to be really hard. And there will be times, not in the more recent years, but I would say even like 10 years ago, I would start the conversation with, I'm a little pricey, because I was a little afraid to actually say the dollar amount. And this is in my contracts that, I would get with programs and schools and organizations, where I would start off with, I'm a little pricey. Now, I will say I do continue to do things pro bono, or I do continue to do things at a reduced rate. And this is my way of giving back, because I do believe, like, there are some organizations that even if they wanted to, they couldn't pay for it. And I know that it's not them going, where can we allocate funds? It's not an issue of allocating money. It's not an issue of, we don't want to pay you. It's, we want you here. We want to pay you. We just don't have the funding to do so. And so I understand that, coming from the nonprofit world. And so there are always, whenever I do programs, I always offer a scholarship or two, depending on the number of people. And I always, in my group, in my I Am Loved group, like, I do ship for free. Like right now, I'm doing a 52-week challenge, a journaling challenge. I created a journal. And so if people
Beautiful.
wanted to purchase the journal, you can do it on Amazon. And so for those of you who are listening, I will post a link where you can buy this. I have it taped because I open it often, but it's just a journal, and it's got journal prompts that you go through each week, but it's a 52-week process. I post, like today, I just posted week 2's prompt. And then I'll jump on later this week and just kind of have a conversation. Last week's question, I think, was about judgment. Like, when do you find yourself judging people most harshly? And, I want people to get engaged in this process. I'll have conversations with them. If people are super interested, we can have a circle where we get on Zoom or we get on live together to discuss this, to explore it, to support one another. All of that is free. All of that is free.
What's the
So it's
investment
not,
on the book?
yeah, it's the investment on the book. That's right. And your
Yeah.
time, but your time is basically, it's a healing journey. So I do a lot of that, because I know what it's like for people who, are struggling with things. And so it's not where I go, oh my God, no, you're going to pay for all my services or you get nothing. It's like, this is my signature package. This is where you're really going to get my one-on-one support. And then these are the other things. If you're not there yet, here are the other things that you can take part of.
And I think this is one of those tools that we provide, is our time when we sit here and we have these podcasts and we have these discussions and we work through and we talk through the things that we're going through in our lives, because this is really valuable. If you take the information that we say here and you apply the tools and you listen to the journey, and if you're going through something similar and you actually hear what it is we're saying and it lands properly, and then you take that and apply it into your life, you're going to make some transformations in your life. I guarantee you, if you went through all of our episodes and you broke them down and you listened to one a month or a week and you actually apply the stuff that we are teaching here or that we are sharing here through our experiences, you're going to gain some kind of knowledge. You're going to gain some kind of wisdom. You're going to gain some type of transformation if you implement it. And that's our form and our way of giving back, because a lot of people are charging for these contents. Sometimes you go on podcasts, and some podcasts you have to pay for the exclusive information that they're providing and they're sharing. You know what I mean? And I've been in a few of your free spaces, and I've gotten amazing transformations, right? That's why I'm able to continue to still do this. And you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, how come I couldn't pay for something of this nature and invest more? But through the work, through those times, I'm like, okay, well, here, this is how we co-collaborate and we bring our stuff into the world together on Brown and Spiritual AF. Because if you guys go on my Instagram, there's a ton of information that I just share on there. And that's just me giving over tools and tips that I've learned along my journey and it got me to the next level. We got another podcast that I have is Sundays in the Shadows is another way. So when people say things like, oh man, I can't afford this, you know what I mean? Or is it that healing is expensive, or you're not prioritizing what it is for you to evolve in life? You know, because you could go listen to a bunch of free stuff and apply it. It's out there. It'll get you through that first and second, and even advanced levels. They got free stuff out there if you know how to go and sift through all the information, you know, but it's just a lot different when you hire somebody like us one-on-one to go even deeper into that. And that's where I find myself investing a lot. You know what I mean? I think in let's just say the last 2 years, you know what I mean? I probably invested easily $10,000 into my personal development training.
I think I think there's only so much we can do kind of completely on our own. And I think sometimes what happens is we get to a point where sometimes an outside someone who's able to look at your situation, even the way that you're processing your experiences from an outside lens, can be incredibly helpful, especially because the ego has a tendency to make us kind of spin. And it makes us think that we don't have enough information, or we don't have the knowledge, or don't have the skills, or don't have the experience. And so we stay in this space of feeling like we just need more from outside ourselves. And so it's helpful when you have a coach, because a coach or someone in your life can help you redirect your process of how you're making sense of things, to go within, to delve deeper into your inner knowing. And sometimes that's the part we're avoiding. We're avoiding doing the inward work, and it's so much more comfortable to continually seek the outside information. And so we stay in the space of seeking, as opposed to really delving deep into exploring our truth.
Yeah. You just brought me back to high school, or even middle school, and even further back with teachers. Like, you guys ever get like an assignment when your teacher wasn't there and you had to read it and figure it out on your own, especially when it came to math? I would look at this shit and be like, all the instructions are there, right? They're there.
Right.
However, trying to put it together, piece it together, and actually understand what it was saying changed. I eventually found it. But let me tell you, when my teacher was there to give me a thing to let me try to figure it out by myself, and then came to the rescue and said, check this out, and explained it in her way, oh my gosh, it was like the light bulbs came on easily. It's like I could sit here and suffer and try to do this on my own for like a whole week, or I can have my teacher for 5 fucking minutes, and then boom, I understand the concept and I understand it, and I'm ready to go to the next level. That's what this reminds me of. And this is just in the realm of life, and or just growing as a human being in general. Can you imagine if like parents had like a parent coach? You know what I mean?
You know what? You brought up something I think is a really good way to understand this. My daughter, who's now 16, she was a sophomore last year in high school, and she had probably one of the worst math teachers she has ever had. My
Oh,
kid already struggled in math because she wasn't taught well when she was younger. And so she struggles with what's called number sense. Most of us don't have number sense because we weren't taught the right way to understand numbers. And so we get caught up in the simple applications. And so she had a really, really shitty math teacher last year and she struggled. This year, she got a teacher who's actually from China, and his approach to math is very different. And what he does for one problem, he teaches like 3 or 4 different ways to reach the answer. See,
whew.
we were taught the one way. There's only one way, and if you don't know the one way, then you're screwed, right? You need to memorize the formula, or you there's no other way you're going to get it. Whereas Gia's new teacher this year, he teaches different ways, and so that really that makes an accommodation for how she is as a learner. And it's amazing because she went from like a D student last year to an A student this year. And it really was about, number one, the teacher believes in her. He said, I explained to at Meet the Teacher Night, I explained to him that Gia is not a kid who struggles in math. She's a kid who struggles with the teacher who's teaching the math. And he said, I think I will be able to teach her. I will be able to teach her. And sure enough, he has, not only does he teach her effectively, he checks on her. He makes sure she feels comfortable. When she's stuck, he talks her through it. And as you were explaining, that, connecting it to our early experiences with learning, that is what we do. That when somebody is moving through whatever program we're providing for them, we're there to go, okay, where are you stuck? Like, tell me how you're making sense of this. What's coming up for you? What else could we do to help you be able to move through this experience with grace, with ease, and with success? It's like we are doing exactly what most effective teachers do when they're really, really supportive of kiddos.
Yeah, I remember I got 1 D in my whole motherfucking life, right? 1. And that was in biology, my 10th grade. My I don't know, was that my sophomore at that time,
Mhm.
right? And it wasn't that I sucked at learning, it's my teacher was not the greatest and we just
Yeah.
butted heads.
Yep.
And instead of trying to help me, right? And I probably became more rebellious because I was being picked on by the teacher and I wasn't going to allow that shit. So I turned into probably a bad student for her, right? But all my other classes, A's and B's easily. When I go back and I think about this, and I'm because I have sometimes I had teaching moments while I was in the restaurant and I have to teach certain servers things. And I was a horrible teacher at times because I was like, it's fucking like this. There's only one way.
Right.
But I had to learn, like, wait a minute, people learn different.
Yeah.
Let me hear what they're saying so then I could figure out a way to help them understand the concept I'm trying to get them to believe in, right? And I look
Right.
back at that one time, and when that's what I remembered. One time I was training this girl as a manager, right? And patience were short. I just think that people should just get this shit. It's fucking not rocket science. You know what I mean? It's waiting fucking tables, you know? And I tore into her and I felt really bad afterwards because I thought about that teacher. I thought about when I was a sophomore and the
Mhm.
teacher got upset with me because I was asking questions that she thought I should already know. However, she wasn't explaining it properly to me. So it wasn't hitting home. She was teaching me one fucking way when there was like 4. Oh, that's 3.
Mhm.
That's 4.
Sure. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I had to recognize there's different ways of doing this, like I said. And if it wasn't for the teachers that I had in my life, you know what I mean? One of them was my mom, you know what I mean? She taught me a lot of things to do and a lot of things not to do. But also
Mhm.
the teachers that came into my life that I really remember that helped me get to the next level in regular school. Wow, they
Mhm.
listened. They were there. They were like, look at it this way. And they taught me all kinds of little tricks and gave me rhymes to listen, to remember, and gave me like acronyms to remember shit. And I was like, oh man, this is actually not as hard as I thought it was. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
neither is healing people, neither is a spiritual journey, neither is elevating your life and transforming it.
Yeah. So, Mark, you started a new podcast. Talk about it. What are you doing with this podcast? What's it called, and what's your hope with it?
It's called Sundays in the Shadows. And what I want to do with it is really go deep into the nitty gritty of what this journey looks like. You know,
Mhm.
when you're on TikTok, well, actually, I'm on more on Instagram, right? When you're on Instagram, you see coaches showing a part of this industry that's sunshine and rainbows. It's all polished, it's all pretty, and it's all neat. We're gonna get you from point A to point B with ease. It's not fucking like that, you
Mhm.
know. There's parts of us that we don't share because we're scared of what people are gonna think about us. But yet, you want me to transform somebody's life when you're not being fucking truthful with yourself. And so that's what I would like to do with Sundays in the Shadows is actually go deep into the conversations with people that been on this journey, but not just the sunshine and rainbow side. The more of the
Mhm.
integration, the more of the dark stuff, the more of the, oh my gosh, did I just fucking share that with the world shit? Because I think that's where the true healing really happens. And we don't touch enough on that. I mean, it's out there, but you really have to search for it. It's not normalized like, oh my gosh, look, I went from broke to billionaire in 5 years and that was it. Well,
Mhm.
motherfucker, what like where were all the other steps? You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think it's misleading. So that's what I really want to do with the Sundays in the Shadows is help people take them on a journey within their inner selves and all the things that I've learned to really touch on those shadow aspects that they feel ashamed of. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
unworthiness. And even the opposite side is when you find somebody that you really truly resonate with and like, oh my gosh, this person walks on water. I want to help you realize that you could walk on water too. That's why you connect with that part. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that's the aspect, that's the road that I'm taking with that particular project.
And how are you what's the setup? Is it you presenting each week, or do you have guests on? Like what's your vision for it? Because you just started it recently, right?
Yeah, I just dropped my first 4 episodes last week, and I'm gonna do it bi-weekly. And the first in the beginning is gonna for the people to get to know me. I'm gonna share some of the shit that people are probably gonna be like, "What?" You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna dive into my shadows and the things that were stopping me in a little more detail. I'm gonna keep it really short so people could grab the lessons and see the stories and get to know me as a person. So when they see me on the street, they people see this. They think I'm extroverted. They think I'm like this amazing speaker and XYZ, and I'm coaching and I do all kinds of great shit, but they don't realize that there's a dark side of me that can flip sometimes and has flipped in the past. And the kind of crazy shit that I've done. So in the first, I think, month or two, I'm gonna just segue into my life and give people the idea what it is, because it's going to be amazing for other coaches that are on this journey too, that say, oh my gosh, what, I could share this and it's going to be okay. Yeah, you can. You know what I mean? And the people that don't resonate with it, well, fuck them, it's okay. But then I intend to bring guests on that are willing to open up and share some of that more deeper, darker stuff so they can really resonate. So people out there in the world can see, like, wow, it's not just Mark that has deep, dark secrets and things that he had to go through. There were other people out there that made it out the trenches, fucking crawled through the mud, blood, sweat, and tears, and now they're doing different things, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be more of a documentation of showing how people can actually change, how you can go from one person that lived in the dark and did some really shitty, bad things to living in the light,
Mhm.
and not having to fucking feel bad about the shit you did over here because you're a brand new person, not throw it away, but integrate it. You see, so that's the
Mhm.
kind of the vision I have. And I have no idea how it's going to work out because here's a shadow, right? I didn't think I was good enough to create this by myself. You know what I mean? I
Right.
thought Brown and Spiritual AF was the podcast that I was going to go because I had a co-host and she kind of guides that. And who am I to actually go on my
Mhm.
own and teach people? You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, learning to sit in the space of being scared and doing it anyway, I think is one of the greatest lessons or experiences we can have in form in this earthly experience. Just saying, yeah, I'm really terrified about this. Like I'm not sure what this is going to look like, and I'm not sure how comfortable I'm feeling right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's like one of those, it was a mantra that I learned early on in my career. It's like, yeah, I'm really, really scared. First time I was an administrator, I was in my early 20s. Everybody was twice my age. I was terrified to walk in because everyone was looking at me like this kid who knew nothing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm terrified every fucking morning when I was sitting in my car ready to go inside the building. And I'm like, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so it's one of those things every time that I'm faced with a fear can I really do this? I say that to myself. I'm terrified. I'm feeling terrified right now, but I'm going to do this anyway. And I also then step aside and allow spirit, because I know that the work that I do that's for and on behalf of others is not really about me. Like, I agree to show up and I agree to be the guide or the support, but it's never really about me. And so once we get in the practice of recognizing that we are really divinely guided, if we allow ourselves to connect to that within us, then it becomes easier to show up because you're supported and you feel it.
Yeah. When I think about taking the steps, because this has been on the back burner, it's been in the back of my mind for a long time, and it's just been
Mhm.
there. And anytime I reach out or people come to me and they want help, also, this is another reason why I decided to put this out there, is because there's people out there that want to go deep into the work. However, right now, their their circumstances that they created or they're in don't allow them to be able to invest in my services one-on-one. So what's the next best thing that I could provide? Well, I could take my story and put it into a little longer content form for people to go and take bite-sized pieces out, and they could go sift through what they really need at nothing. All you got to do is have Spotify, YouTube, which you already got
Yeah.
already, or Apple Music, and go take a listen. And so this is your entryway into my world, and you get that one-on-one because it's me, right? And
Yeah.
then fast forward to the future, bringing other people on. So Missy Sella, I'll bring you on, and we'll have a shadow integration talk. You know what I'm saying? Even though we've
Yeah.
had plenty of those on here, but that's a whole other platform and a different area and a level that I'm reaching for at the moment. So
Yeah.
that's another one of those reasons why, and I stepped into it, because this is a shadow aspect of myself stepping into another version of me, and it's fucking
Yeah.
scary, people.
Yeah. I think all of these, the big transformative experiences of our lives, if there wasn't a little bit of fear, then I don't know that there's real transformation that happens. I think transformation comes with a little bit of fear because there's uncertainty
Yeah.
in it. One of the things that made me think about is you're talking about shadow work. I do a daily with Nina Vasquez, coach. She's a life coach. She's a trauma informed life coach. She and I do a daily conversation called Trauma Talks and Truths on my Love Being page, and it goes across my Love Being page, my Love Being spirituality YouTube. So on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And we do this every day around 12:30-ish Central Time. We haven't gotten the time down because
Around
sometimes shit happens. But
sounds like us.
ish, 12:30-ish. But we've gone nearly every day. And when we're having these conversations, sometimes I present things in a way, kind of what you're describing, Mark, where it's like, okay, like this is the end point. And she'll come in and she'll say, and there's also this real-time experience, because she really just started this journey about like the spiritual part of her personal development journey 2 years ago, about 2 years now, that since I met her. I kind of introduced some things to her in a soul reading that she had never even heard of. And that really kind of triggered a whole journey for her into a deeper healing experience. She went and did the work. I didn't, do the work for her or anything. She went and did the work. And so she's done so much transformation over the last 2 years. And it's been a long time since I've started this stuff. And so recently, say like 2 weeks ago, I was reorganizing in my house and I came across my old journals, and I was going through some of them and I'm like, holy shit, I forgot. Like, I forgot the dark days. Like, I have forgotten when it was hard because of whatever was happening in my life. I forgot the feeling of just feeling like, especially in the positions that I held, that the world was not only like, I felt like it was against me because I had to make some big decisions that impacted a lot of people's lives, like when I had to fire people, or, It was like there were big things that were happening in my life that I just felt consumed by. And then what that brought up for me. And, it's been a long time since I have been doing this work. So with Nina, when we do our talks each day, she will say in real time what this looks like is, and she'll tell the story of what she's recently experienced as it relates to what I'm talking about. Because sometimes I'm like, it's been like 15 years since I've experienced it. I don't remember.
I don't remember what that was. And that's you got those journals, right? And these too, like when I go back, so anybody that's listening, you guys could go listen to the episode when we brought Nina on to Brown and Spiritual AF is when I first met her, and that was about 2 years ago or so. So you guys could go and listen to that. She could go back and listen to that. We could go back and listen to that, see who we were at that point in time, and see how much we've elevated or grown in that area and how our views might have changed. So that's really dope that you got the journals to go back and reverse engineer life. Like, oh shit, I forgot how hard this was. I forgot that. I did what? Because I've only been doing this. I think for the last 3 years, I've been really journaling like every single day. Like it's just a little journal, like little pieces like this every day. But when I go back and I read 3 years ago, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I was feeling like that. I forgot so-and-so did this to me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like at the moment, look, here it goes. It's like at the moment it was horrible, but today it's like it doesn't even activate me in a way, you know? So it's awesome. Congratulations, Nina.
It really is it really is a journey, and that's kind of what the premise of my program is. It's the sacred journey within. So our signature program that Nina and I are doing together, and I think that's what makes a good balance for the both of us, because I do come in with the spiritual side and the teachings, and she does the coaching piece that really delves into somatic healing. And so our signature program is really, really about taking that journey within and being coached through the process of just getting to know who you truly are, because a lot of us have been on some sort of path, whether it's the personal development path where you're like, how do I strengthen my emotional intelligence? How do I communicate? What do I believe about myself? What are my values? Though that personal or even some of the trauma healing happens in that lane. And then you get into the spiritual part of things, and then you're like, oh wow, there's more to this than just this human experience. What's beyond this space and time? Like there are angels and guides that are like really your spiritual army who are there with you. You have sacred contracts that you agreed upon coming into this earthly experience. Who you are right now, who I'm speaking to, Mark, right now, is you are an aspect of God, but even more so, this soul that you are a part of also has parallel experiences happening at the same time. So there's the personal lane, and then there's the who are we beyond this time and space. And when you start to really merge the two, you start to recognize the power that you actually have and the pure potentiality of how you can expand this awareness and create the life that you actually came in to have. And so that in itself is huge. And so that's what our intent is with our program, is to bridge those two worlds so that you can take the power, that you can then go, you know what? I can figure out how to maneuver through this experience with grace and with ease.
As you're sitting here thinking about, and you're telling me this, and I'm hearing all this, why would anybody in their right mind undervalue a service like this? Why would they undervalue a service? Why do they undervalue service that don't produce tangible, immediate results? Like I'm hearing this right now. I'm like, wow, this sounds amazing. Why would anybody stray away? Is it because they don't see the tangible results right away? They can't just put it in the fucking microwave and then 10 minutes, 5 minutes later, they come back and like, oh my gosh, I'm healed. Like,
I think that's part of it. I think we all want fast results, don't we? Like we all want, like, the workout that's going to be like the weekend workout and I've lost 45 pounds.
Yeah,
We
that's
all have
fucking
that.
called crack, okay? Fucking take your ass to the gym. Like, shut the fuck up. You got to put the work in.
Yeah. Like we all want the quick and fast. I think the other part too, because you do shadow work, Mark, how people, I do shadow work too, but we do it just a bit differently. But I think that, it's scary. I don't know how many times I have been on lives when I do my live readings for folks. And I'll say something to people like, this is something that you really have to delve into, because the beautiful thing about it is that your shit's going to stick around until you're ready to clean it up,
Yes.
you know? And so I'll say to people, it's time for you to really focus on this part of your healing. And they're like, no, hell no. Like, I'm too busy. I'm too scared. I don't want to do it. And I was like, well, the shit is going to stick around until you're ready to clean it up.
It's true
And it
story,
will.
people. You take a shit, you got to wipe your ass. If you don't wipe your
Yeah.
ass, that's just going to stay there.
It's going to
It,
stay there and it gets crusty and gross.
yes, and that's the cost. You know what I mean? What's the cost of
Yeah.
not investing in yourself and not taking, you know what I mean? Not taking the
Yeah.
steps. I could look at some people that I know in my life right now, and I'm not going to say no names, However, when I take a look at their life and I see who they are today, they are very much the same person that I knew 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and that's the cost, people. And the cost of not investing in yourself and not taking a step forward, you're going to be right there with them. And then 20 years going to go by, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years goes by. And you're like, shit, I'm still in the same motherfucking shithole I was with the same fucking shit, And
Yeah.
let me tell you, I did that shit for 33 years. I think I didn't start this until I was 33, people. Like damn near 10 years ago. Holy shit balls. I'm that old. Holy shit. I've been on this planet for 42 years.
I think what's another part of this is time goes by quickly. Linear time goes by very quickly. And so I think what happens is people get busy with life. So you get busy with life, with relationships, with children, with jobs, with just life. And what happens is you function in this sort of superficial, and I don't want to say superficial because it's happening and it's real, but it's like a surface level experience. You go and you do, right? You go to work, you pick up your kids, you feed your kids, you do all of the things you need to do. But what's happening is there's an undercurrent of unrest. So the undercurrent of unrest are the shadows. It's the things that maybe we haven't been honest or truthful with ourselves, or maybe you're in a relationship that doesn't feel fulfilling to you, but because you've become accustomed to the experiences that you live together, the financial dependency on one another, maybe you have children together, but there's an unrest that's happening below the surface. So what happens when we say, hey, what's the price you're going to pay if you don't move into this healing? Well, the price is huge for some people, because I'm afraid that if I start to uncover the things that is keeping me from my true happiness, I might have to get rid of the husband or the wife. I might have to change how I parent. I might have to come to the realization that I've been parenting in a way that I'm embarrassed to say and acknowledge. I may have to financially say goodbye to the house that I have, the husband that I have, the car that I have, because I can't make it on my own. So the price of healing is sometimes a domino effect, because the realization that you already know, you're just so fucking afraid of facing. But the truth of it is there's a sense of there's an undercurrent of unhappiness where you don't actually feel the love that you are, the happiness, the peace that you are at the deepest level of all that is. And so that's what keeps us stuck. It's because there is a domino effect when you come to the realization that there's more that you can access that will align you to the truth of who you are.
So it'll cost you emotional costs, anxiety, stress, unresolved trauma, right? Financially, staying stuck at work and relationships that don't add value to your life. You know what I mean? Physical, you get stressed out. I was stressed out. I got overweight, right? I was emotionally depressed and not knowing it. I had alcohol abuse, and my money was going beep, 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 beep. I told myself, I can't afford this. Well, I can't afford not to,
Yeah.
and I figured it out one step at a time. Instead of going to the bar every mother loving week, 3 or 4 times a week, it saved
Mm.
me about $800 a month. That $800 that I had extra, I invested it into a gym membership. I invested it into books. I invested it into courses because that was what I could afford at the time. And then when my bank account got a little bit bigger, I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go to Europe for 3 weeks for this retreat. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, that's pretty quick regression, but this is all over a 10-year period of most people. You know what I'm saying? And it was little steps at a time. And I was doing little things. I've read probably more books in the last 10 years than I did my whole first 20 years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and it,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had to prioritize different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the things that I think one of the things that I get stuck with, I don't know if the word is stuck. It's that I tend to over over what's the word I'm looking for? Where you, and Nina uses it all the time. You like give more than, like I
Overcompensate.
overgive. No, 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 like I overgive. And it's one of the things. So I, most of my work, like my healing journey work, was in person, like not virtual. So a lot of the virtual classes that I take are like in really, really large groups, not necessarily in one-on-one coachings in small groups, or it is, where I just go do it sort of on my own. And so I haven't done, like personally done these programs that are virtual. I'm a teacher. I've done virtual for education. So I'm a teacher as far as teaching adults, but I haven't done it in the spiritual world. So when people say to me what I offer, like even in my free groups, the groups that I'm in, I over provide. And so sometimes I forget that I'm doing that. And I think sometimes I do give way too much for free. I'm like they tell me, Isela, people pay a lot of money for what you are offering, like
I
a
believe
lot of
so.
money for what you are
Yep.
offering. Yeah. And people have said to me, I have never experienced anything like this before in a group. And I've been in a lot of groups. Like I've done a lot of spiritual groups and a lot of spiritual whatever online, and I have never had this level of awareness or experience or reflection, like, and because I don't have something that I personally, especially early on in my healing journey, I have not experienced that. So I don't have anything to really compare it to. So it's something I really have to reflect upon, because I people say to me, I think you're undercharging, you're underselling. um yeah, so it's something I kind of have to explore and play with. And it's not because it's not the value of my worth. It's just I don't have the experience of,
Yeah.
like,
I
what other
can
people do.
I could vouch for that because the level of energy that you invest, right? The level of intention you invest in the people that are in your programs on Facebook for fucking free, easily people will invest thousands of dollars. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Even like some
Yeah.
people think $500 for a 3 week program. You know what I'm saying? And you're there every motherfucking day. You're like, you do the level that you show up for, right?
Mhm.
Is outstanding. It's amazing. It's like unheard of. At the same time, I see the people that you work with really make big strides in their lives,
Yeah.
and
This is true. Yeah.
that is going to turn around and come back to us at some point in
Mhm.
our lives. And we don't do this because we want the accolades, we want the stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's nice to get paid well. It's nice to be recognized, but sometimes we overgive, and we overgive when
Mhm.
we overgive, and it's that fine line. It's like, when are we
Mhm.
giving too much, and when do I say, okay, check this out, how do I get more awareness around this and actually turn this into a business? Because now, right, spirituality, and here we go back to the people out there. See, listen, people, if you're out there worried like people should be doing this shit for free, Missy Sella is at a high mother loving level, And this is not no cookie cutter shit that you get. You get a very personalized experience. Like there'll be 10 of us or so, or 20 of us in this group, and then everybody will have a different experience, and everybody is approached differently. Even when she does her readings, not everybody gets the same fucking cookie cutter message. It's very in depth, in tune to that one particular person, and it's magnificent. It's amazing. And even though the process that she utilizes is very straightforward, she got the process and the steps she takes you from, but but each person has a different journey utilizing the same instructions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you made me think of one of the groups that I did. I think you were a part of the group. It must have been the 21-day worthiness challenge. So each day, so I would go on live each day because it was 21 days. And I literally would like connect with spirit and go, okay, where do you want me to go from here? And so spirit is the one who kind of guided me. And there would be one or two or three or four people that the message was specifically for. So, and I really don't tap into who exactly. It's just, this is what I need to present. And so that's what makes sometimes my marketing so difficult, because I don't lean into this very prescribed approach, because I really allow spirit, like I have a general overview of what's going to happen, but I really allow spirit each time to go, okay, like, should I do this or talk about this? And I'll go in with the plan, and the plan will be completely like different than what I've been intended. Yeah. And I'll show up and I'll say, okay, this is what I thought I was going to talk about, but like, this is not what spirit wants me to do. And so I think that's what makes it different than a lot of programs.
Yeah. It's that intuitive aspect, you know what I mean? Because a lot of coaches take people through journeys, but you show up and like you said, I've seen you happen. I've seen you like, well, this is not what was planned, but this is the direction we're going. And so people, if you're listening, you know what I mean? Healing is an investment in yourself. You know what I mean? Transformation is an investment. You're going to have to do things that you've never done before. You're going to have to invest in areas that you haven't invested for. And if you're over here saying, well, I can't afford this, well, stop drinking coffee. Stop going to the fucking bar all the time. Stop hanging out with hoochies. That was one of mine. Stop paying for dinner you know what I mean? You're basic. Yeah, I'm not going to say what you're doing, but you know what you're doing. And there's resources out there for you, people. Podcasts. Our YouTubes, you know what I mean? Go to the library, get a free fucking book. It's going to cost you some money, just not even no money. Just go get a library card in the city that you live in. You know what I mean? There's low cost options, right? You could invest in group coaching. You could join Isela's Facebook group, right? And go in there and get tons of value for free. You heard her, and people are telling her you're over doing it in some of these areas. You know what I mean? Go before she changes her mind. Go get yourself healed for a very, very low cost of $3.99. You know what I mean? Journal. You guys heard journaling. Go get a piece of paper and a notebook and just start writing your thoughts out. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know what I mean? Just go to work and notice what you don't like at work. And then start responding different to it. That's what I did. I turned my toxic environment to a training field for personal transformation, because I was like, fuck, I've been in the hospitality niche for 30 plus years, 20 plus years. And if I just went to another restaurant, the restaurant's going to be the same type of industry and the people are going to be very similar. So what has to change? I have to change, right? The grass is not going to be greener over there. The grass is greener where I watered it. And where did I get the tools? Well, first I started reading books. 2, I started taking coaching programs. 3, I got a personal coach. 4, I started hanging out with people like Miss Isela. And we started doing Brown and Spiritual AF, which is an investment in myself also, because I learn and grow through the process of teaching. You see?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so start small,
so where else can people share about your podcast and, your coaching? What is it that you offer and how do they get in touch with you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most live. That's where I'm at most of the time. And that's where all my information is. And I provide a few different things. Go listen to Sundays in the Shadows, and all my links are linked to that also. But if you want one-on-one coaching, right, go to my Instagram. The links are all there. Go listen to my podcast. Right. And all the links are there. Where I do one-on-one, I do group. I utilize this thing. I created this program called Movie Mirrors. And what we do is we watch movies and we utilize it for the purpose of personal transformation. And so we dive deep into shadow work, utilizing already created entertainment. You guys watch movies and shows already. So now what if you could learn more about yourself by watching these movies, right? How does it make you feel? Who activated or triggered you, right? Who did you root for secretly, but you felt bad for rooting for them because they were the bad guy, right? Who got you excited? Who got you hot? Who got you cold? You know what I mean? These are all things that we dive into just through the power of movie watching. And then we have a discussion about this in a group where it's safe, when you can be yourself, and then you build community, right? So there's a lot of different levels and tiers that I'm providing here for you guys. And once again, go to the Instagram, Mark My Magnificence on Instagram, or Sundays in the Shadows podcast, and all the links are there. And you guys connect with me. I'm approachable. I'm easy to find and access for now. You know what I mean? And I feel like Missy Sella at times too, where I overgive.
Yeah, I really like the whole movie thing, because I think for a lot of folks, connecting with their emotional state is really hard. So the practice of connecting with their emotional state in something that doesn't feel as personal is such a good way to start to build those synaptic brain connections that are just unfamiliar because they don't do it on a regular basis. So I think that's a pretty powerful perspective. There are a couple movies in my experience of life that I'm like, okay, I've watched it once and I don't ever want to see that again. Like, it was a good movie and I love it, but it's like I was really, I don't know if the word is triggered. Maybe I was, but Beautiful Minds is one of them.
Ooh,
Beautiful Minds. The story of I forget who it was, but the professor who has paranoid schizophrenia. That was one that was just, whoa, that was hard for me to watch. Hard for
And
me to watch.
there's so many out there. Like, movies had shaped my life. I think I learned so much, and I learned what to do and not to do from movies. Or maybe I seen something, a movie influenced me to go do some dumb shit. You know, I'm like, oh man, this is dumb. You know what I mean? Same with music. But they helped me grow. And once I realized that I was learning how to be a better person through movies, because movies helped me tap into my emotions, like, oh my gosh, here I am watching The Notebook and crying like a little bitch, hoping nobody sees me. Like, like, oh, that's so sweet. Look at Jack lifted her up in the Titanic. Like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, no, Mark, don't fucking know. You know what I mean? That's what movies could do for you. They help you tap into
Yeah.
emotions that you typically wouldn't tap into. And you can do this in the comfort of your home, people, right?
Right.
And it's very
Right.
simple, cost effective. You don't even need me to help you along this journey. Just go watch a movie, right? And then get a notebook and pay attention to how you feel. That's it.
Yeah.
And take notes. So-and-so did this and that pissed me off. This reminded me of a time when my mom did this or my dad did that. And let me tell you, you'll start a transformational journey just on that alone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. So what I have coming up in the next month or so, that's kind of our aim, is the beginning of February 10th. We're going to start our signature program, which is really spirit led. It is the Sacred Journey Within. Nina and I both are going to be providing this program where I provide some spiritual teaching. I'm going to incorporate art, not really art, creativity into it. Primarily because creativity is the gateway into your intuition. And so the goal of this is to sort of uncover what is it that's keeping you from accessing your intuitive guidance. That's your deepest level of knowing. Some people refer to this as your highest self, your deeper I. There are lots of ways that people, refer to your soul. So we're going to practice the process of tapping into that, but we have to get rid of the things that are preventing you from tapping into your intuitive guidance. And what I mean by getting rid, I don't mean completely getting rid. Sometimes that's integrating, it's transforming, it's releasing. It just depends on your particular situation. So we're going to provide some spiritual teaching, some creativity, some somatic experiences, definitely some breath work. And so I'm going to do that by way of teaching. And then Nina is going to facilitate group experiences where people can really explore their own journey, and share with one another. So we'll hold space for each other. I work really hard at creating spaces and places where people feel safe and connected and seen. I do prioritize people from marginalized communities. That's a really important part of my work, is to work with people who do, who are people of color, people who are neurodivergent, varying abilities, people who have historically felt like they're not seen or heard. So I really prioritize providing high levels of support to folks so that they do feel safe and comfortable in our groups. So that's what I have coming up. Nina and I have also recorded about 4 episodes of my Love Being podcast. I just have to get to editing them. It's the editing part that it takes time. So we've recorded
Tell me about
4. Yeah, we've recorded 4, and that will hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll start launching those. And then we're on daily about 12:30-ish Central Time, where we just are exploring our sacred journey.
Awesome sauce. And I really, man, I hope you guys that are listening and you come across this, take her up on these offers. I've experienced and I've gained so much of my transformation through working with Missy Sella. And I go on and I pop on and I listen to their talks,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? And I gain so much insights just from those. I just pop in and I'm just like in the comments.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's always
And they're like,
fun when
"What?"
you jump on.
Yes.
And
So let's
also
just
my Going Within book on Amazon. It's on
yes,
Amazon.
go get that. And she'll send me the link and I'll put it in the link in the show notes because I am now editing these ones and now I got the recording. So you might not even have to send them to me. But let's just recap real quick, people. You know, healing can feel expensive because of our social conditioning. You know what I mean? But staying stuck is even more expensive. You know what I'm saying? Not taking care of your health, right? You think it's expensive? Well, have you ever been to the doctor? That
Yep.
shit's expensive. You know what I mean? You can start your journey without investing a lot of money at all. Start your journey by listening to Brown and Spiritual AF. Go
Mhm.
to Love Being podcast. You know, go to Sundays in the Shadows podcast. Boom, you're in there already. If you got a phone in your hand, you got access to apps that allow you to get this information in there. So thank you guys for taking a listen, being here on Brown and Spiritual AF. We never know how these episodes are gonna turn out because we kind of just go off the cuff. We have an idea and then we just run with it. So stay tuned because there's a lot of things that are coming up into this world, and times are a lot different and times are changing and things are getting super duper interesting and scary and whatnot. And I think we're going to bring you guys some really cool content here in the future because we have a lot to unpack in the next few months coming up. So thank you for tuning in once again. We love you. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll be out in another 2 weeks, I believe. Just like Nina and Missy Sella, we're kind of just winging it. So you guys have a great mother loving day.
All right. We have Pam, who's been with us, I think, this whole time. In our comments, she says, "You both share and teach from the heart, your true selves, and that is extremely valuable." And then she says, "I've gained so much from both of you." Thank you, Pam. We so appreciate.
Thank
We
you,
so
Pam. We love
appreciate
you.
your continued support. And
And I
Anessa
miss
says
you.
hello. Oh,
Pam
you
used
don't
to
get to
be
see Pam.
Pam used to be in the shadow group, and she went off because she had another group that she was
Oh.
attending and stuff and whatnot. But we miss you in class, Pam. We do.
I think that program ends for her soon or something. So maybe, yeah, she says, "Blessing to you both." And then Onessa, I don't know if you're still with us, but hi, Onessa. All right. So I think, let me make sure that that's all of the comments we have before we sign off, because we want to make sure. She says, "Thanks, Mark. Miss you too." All righty. Okay, everyone. Thank you for hanging with us, and we will see you in 2 weeks.